What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22. Last time out we were at the USA Grand Prix in Austin, not to be confused with the one in Miami. And yeah, we were having a pretty decent race. We were up in sort of P3, P4, and then with 5 laps to go the car gave up, which was crushing, brutal, incredibly disappointing, especially because I think that has all but confirmed the P5 fight between myself and Alpine in the constructors, in favour of Alpine, of course. So yeah, I think that's over now for us, and we'll have to settle for P6, which is a downside better than we did last season. We had I think we had P9 last season. So yeah, not the end of the world that we only made it up 3 positions this season, but it is nonetheless a shame to have that happen. This time round we're at the Mexican Grand Prix, and we're still just looking at improving our adaptations. Well, adapting the current parts we've got, and trying to cover off as many upgrades as we can for next season to see how good we can make the car for next season. I was just having a check on Oscar Piastri's contract buyout, and he's worth 3 million, so we need to save 3 million for the end of the season if we want to re-sign him. I might be careful and save 4 million just on the off chance that he goes up to 11, acclaim 11 before we get the chance to re-sign him. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but yeah, it's getting close. We've unlocked new durability upgrades as a result of doing a durability facility upgrade, and that's now spec 2, and that's probably going to be the last upgrades we're unlocking for a while, because it's going to be quite some time, I think, before we get spec 3 facilities. So yeah, we should just not worry about that for now. We'll try and get every aspect of every facility that we have up to spec 2 first, and then we can focus on upgrading a few of them to spec 3. You only need 1 upgrade. You need everything spec 2 and 1 spec 3 of the each individual aspect of the facility. If one of them is spec 3, then the whole facility becomes spec 3, is my understanding of it.
The session has drawn to a close, so let's review our top 3. Leclerc, Ocon and Sergio Perez. Sadly, it's time to say goodbye as free practice is over. However, we'll be back shortly for more Formula 1 action.
So yeah, we're taking a grid penalty for this race, in case you didn't realise. We've replaced a couple components, which either, I think it was the control electronics failed last time, and we only had one of those left, and we also didn't have any ICEs left, and that one got a bit worn, so I thought I'd replace that one. I imagine we'll probably have to take more penalties at somewhere like Portugal or something like that, which is the next race, but we'll see what happens. For now, yeah, we're just taking the 2. Maybe I should have replaced everything in the hopes that they'd get me to the end of the season, but you never know what can happen in that regard. We had a decent practice session. I think we're pretty fast in the places we need to be fast, especially in the straights. I don't think we're going to be out-dragged by lots of cars around us. And yeah, right now we're just adapting everything we can. And we've also got 1 upgrade on the go, even though I said I wasn't going to upgrade the car. That's because it was free. So I figured there's literally no reason not to go for it. We got 10 parts left in aero, and I think 3 left in powertrain. So yeah, we've managed to work this down quite significantly already, and with 3 races left this season, so 3 practice sessions left this season, it's very likely that we might actually be able to cover off all of the upgrades, especially considering that I'm going to reach a claim level 15 soon, and when I do, I'm basically instantly going to get the perk that boosts my resource point gain. So we'll wait and see with that. Now here we go on our first flying lap of Q1. It's good enough for a 1:17.7, and we definitely need to improve a bit more if we want to make it into Q2. And we have done just that. On our second flying lap, we were 8 tenths faster, and it puts us P12 for the session, which is not amazing, especially considering it's Mexico, which is a track I'm kind of strong around. But, you know, it's only Q1 and maybe we can have further improvement in Q2 and Q3 should we make it. And yeah, I hope that they do go slightly better, because despite the fact that we're taking a grid penalty here, it's only a couple of 10-place grid penalties. It's not a back of the grid penalty. So reason should dictate that we are capable of making it to a decent spot in the race, even with those penalties. I think a lot of people will have penalties around us, and that will enable us to not start too low down the order. We might be sort of like, I don't know, P17 or something like that, rather than like P22, because we're taking penalties. Here we go now on our second flying lap of Q2. We're currently P11, so if we want to make it out, we do need to improve. And I'm now on a fresh set of tyres. I did my first run on a used set of tyres, so we'll just see whether we are capable of improving or not. I actually go over the edge of the circuit there. Fortunate not to get a warning. I did lose a bit of time as compensation, but I still wonder whether that should be legal or not. I missed the apex there by a mile, but fortunately I hit it on the next corner, and we're about even with our used set run at the beginning so far. We're only about a tenth up or so, so we need this next twisty S section to go a lot better than everything has gone so far this lap. I'm really struggling in the technical sections of this track on the setup I'm running. It's because it's not particularly high downforce, because there's such a long straight at the start. You have to run low downforce to have speed in the straights. So it's kind of a compromise. I will go slower in the technical sections to go much faster in the straight, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Lando Norris has a 1:15, which is very, very fast. We're improving by about 5 tenths, and it's good enough to put us into, I think it said P6. I think I saw that. Yeah, P6. So not a bad result all round. I think it's one that I can be pretty happy with and take away. But we've still got to get into we've still got to do our run in Q3. Carlos Sainz may be the shock elimination of that session, but both Alpines, both McLarens, both Mercedes. I think actually one of the Red Bulls didn't make it through as well, by the looks of things. So yeah, that's a bit of a shock result for them. But we move. First flying lap of Q3. It's good enough for a 1:16.9. I think we'll need to improve if we want to contend with basically anyone around us, as Norris goes into the 1:15s again. It's good enough for P9 initially, but we've improved by 5 tenths as we come onto our final flying lap. And in doing so, we put ourselves P6, which after penalties are applied, who knows where we'll be. Could be back of the grid, could be P15. We'll have to wait and see.
It's time to remind ourselves once again of our top 3. Norris, Fernando Alonso and George Russell. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
So yeah, Norris gets pole. Annoyingly, Alonso is all the way up in P2, and Ocon will be starting at least 6th, because we're definitely getting a penalty, and maybe some other cars in front of him will also be taking penalties. So yeah, they could be in for a very, very strong race. We're very close to a claim 15 now. I think that's the claim from the Russell rivalry finally cashing out. And it means that we will be bumping up the difficulty by 1 point for a change, which is nice. We're back up to 86 now, and yeah, I can't wait to see how things shake out. But for now we just have to wait and see where we end up on the grid.
Some grid penalties, and we'll be starting further back than you expect. As for how bad it is, that'll depend on what the other drivers get.
So yeah, it probably won't be the end of the world. We can definitely overtake here. You might remember last season we had a pretty crazy race. So let's just hope that this one's the same.
It's time then for the Mexico City Grand Prix, a race which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther winning from 3rd on the grid. Red Bull have been strong here in recent seasons, but can they keep that record going today? The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour and providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right and the remaining 7 going to the left. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Fernando Alonso yesterday puts him on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Magnussen, Carlos Sainz and Russell, Tsunoda, Albon, Schwartzman and Esteban Ocon. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Stroll, Perez and Sir Lewis Hamilton and Vettel. Joe, they've taken a grid penalty. Gasly, Oscar Piastri and Robinson. Ricciardo, Norris, Latifi and Mick Schumacher. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Now, I want to ask you about Lando Norris. That was a great win in the last race, but can they keep that momentum going into this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Exactly what I wanted to see. Fernando Alonso is starting from first in this race, so congratulations to Alpine on getting P5 in the Constructors' Championship. Now it's just about consolidating our points, basically. I think, honestly, the rest of this season is whatever. I don't see a world in which, unless Alonso breaks down in the race, if he gets on the podium, it's over. Because we're not getting on the podium from P18. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Maybe some crazy thing could happen in the race that means we do actually get on the podium. I'm not going to hold my breath. We do start ahead of both Ricciardo and Norris, though, which is quite something. I guess they both took quite hefty grid penalties here. So we'll have to wait and see what we can do versus them. The lights come on and the lights go out. Here we go. It's time. We're on softs, so we get a pretty good launch compared to the cars around us, and we're already ahead of our teammate Piastri. We're battling with Pierre Gasly, but these guys have just a bit more straight line speed than I do for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I did disable my battery quite early, but I didn't think it would make that much of a difference. We're all jostling for position as we come through here, and through the first few corners we shake out about P16 maybe. Oh yeah, I think we're going to struggle to get ahead of Gasly here, but I'm not 100% sure. And yeah, we'll go around the outside of a few cars and then up the inside of Joe there, and yeah, we make it up into P14. So it's not a bad start from P18, up 4 places already, especially ahead of our teammate and ahead of Hamilton, who I mean, he might as well just take his shoes off and go and have a lie down or something, you know. There's no point even contending. If he's down in P17, I don't think he's going to make it back into any significant position, but I've been wrong about that before with Ricciardo in Austin. He made it all the way from P22 to P2. And he's starting down in, I think it was P19 again today, so who knows what might happen. We're currently looking for any way past Stroll and Vettel, who are going incredibly slowly, but come to the end of the pit straight and we're under pressure from, I believe that's Zhou Guanyu. We'll just about hold him off around the outside as Vettel and Stroll again go slowly, and we turn defense into attack, and we're up into P12. So that was a great double overtake, kind of reminiscent of the one I did on the 2 McLarens last season. If you haven't seen that race, I definitely recommend it. And now there's a yellow flag as someone, Sergio Perez I believe, is going slowly. Yep, there goes his engine. Goodbye Sergio Perez from this Grand Prix. And we'll see if there's a safety car or anything like that. I don't know if it benefits us overly, but maybe we'll make our tyres go further, I'm not sure. As Hamilton and Gasly, did someone crash? Okay, so Perez is out, but Hamilton and Gasly are also out of the session, so I guess there must have been a crash of some sort. So we've got a full safety car and a new strategy, so we'll see. Okay, they think now the fastest stop is a 2 stop for 2 sets of mediums. I'm not convinced, but I think we've got nothing to lose by going for that. You know, we're not in the points currently. We're now going to see what happened with Perez in the Red Bull here. He's nowhere near Hamilton and Gasly, so I'm not really sure. I think we were quite close, but I don't know. Yeah, he pulls over to the side because he's got the engine failure or whatever, and there's me going through in front. I think that's Hamilton up behind him now, and what? Hamilton swerved straight into the back of him. That doesn't make any sense. I think the only thing I can think is maybe Gasly was closing down Hamilton from behind, and so Hamilton swerved to the inside of the track to try and defend from Gasly, blissfully unaware of the fact that Perez was there and slow, and then Gasly swerved as well to try and like stay in the slipstream of Hamilton. I don't really know. It's a slow stop, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference because I think we would have come out in the same position regardless. We are now P18, but we can probably make our way back to the field as we're on probably the freshest tyres of anyone, apart from, I think Piastri was the only other car to stop. So everyone else has got to stop as well in this Grand Prix, which just means basically we are in P18 at the moment. So we're going to have to make a lot of overtakes happen if we want to make this work. Now I'm thinking I'm not really sure why this was the strategy. The only thing I can think of is Piastri goes for a move on us up the inside, but we survive for now. The only thing I can think of is maybe the team thought I wouldn't have enough pace to defend from the cars around me on the soft tyres until my pit window. So they thought it made more sense to put me on the mediums, or maybe they thought the soft medium strategy wouldn't make it, but that doesn't make any sense either. Because if 3 laps under safety car would have meant that I was massively reducing the amount of pressure I was putting on my and like wear I was putting on my tyres. So I don't really know. Joe has no DRS now, so we're going to try and capitalise on that and overtake him. Actually, I don't think DRS has been enabled yet, but still. As Schumacher goes very wide there, we try and look up the inside of Joe. We get a warning for corner cutting, which doesn't make any sense because in my opinion he forced me off the track. But we didn't get penalised, so I guess it doesn't matter too much. And we'll see if we can come back at Joe as we go forward from here. We're going to go around the outside as we come through this complex of corners, the one that's kind of a multi-apexed corner. And go around the outside, and with the superior grip on these brand new mediums, we just about make it work. Next up we've got Schumacher, and then Ricciardo, and then Norris, who we were all ahead of at some point in this race, and now we're not. So that's encouraging signs, but we'll see if we can get them once again as we move on to lap 8 now. Schumacher is definitely within our sights. We'll see if we can maybe go around the outside at this next corner. We're going to give it a go. We'll turn it to the inside for the following corner. He doesn't squeeze me off the track, and he gives me enough room to go around the outside of him as we come into this DRS zone. No DRS at the moment still. I think it's maybe still too early after the safety car restart or something, or maybe I just didn't get it. I don't know. And then we've got Latifi, Stroll, Norris, Ricciardo all going quite slowly here as part of a train. I'm going to go around the outside of Ricciardo there, and we made it work. And now I'm going to try and go around the outside of Norris like I did to Joe on the previous lap. But he's going to fight me back a little bit. We'll see if we can go up the inside at this following corner. Are we going to make it work? Yes, we just about make it work. So next up we've got Latifi and Stroll to overtake. And yeah, I'm not sure that's going to be too taxing. In fact, Latifi I think pitted because he's nowhere to be seen now. So our next target is going to be Stroll. We'll see if we can pull off another double overtake on these Aston Martins maybe. It's going to be slightly harder in the complex of corners we've chosen. And maybe for the 3rd time in a row we can do this round the outside move at this double apexed corner. Okay, we're alongside him. We're burning the battery to try and stay with him. We're not going to go up the inside on this occasion, so Stroll's going to keep us behind for now, but we were very close to overtaking him. We will have the DRS as we come into the DRS zone through this twisty section. He also has DRS. We're not going to burn any battery, we'll save that for a little bit later. And he locks up, and that allows us to go up the inside and sail into P12. So, pretty good all in all. We're pretty much back to where we were now, bar one place. If we overtake Vettel, we'll be back to where we were before the safety car. And then, yeah, basically nothing's changed. So this strategy wasn't necessarily bad, although I do have to ask myself, would I have been able to make up more positions if I'd have stayed on the softs? I guess we'll have to wait and find out. I think I think Ricardo was on the same strategy as me, but he didn't pit. I think he was doing soft medium as well. So we'll see where he turns out in this race to determine whether the strategy I'm on was a good one or not. We make it past Vettel in a similar position to where we've overtaken quite a few cars already this race, and now we find ourselves exactly back where we were, and then nothing really happens for a few laps. We move instantly from lap 11 to lap 16. I think that's Norris behind me at the moment with the yellow helmet, and we're looking for a way past Esteban Ocon to take him out of the points, to at least try and minimise the amount of points that Alpine get. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. Again, at the double apex corner we go past, and that is going to be good enough for P10, and we're into the points in this Grand Prix. We started P18, we went all the way down from P11 to P18 again, and now we're up into P10, so that's pretty nice, and we'll see what we can do from here. We move forward again to lap 20. A lot of cars have pitted, so we found ourselves in lap 2, P2, and now we're pitting again, and we'll see where we come out. Magnussen actually is in actual P2 in this race. That's his true position. I'm the last car that I think is scheduled to stop in this race. So everyone you see going past, that is the net order of the race. Ricardo finds himself in P5, so he's having a very good race, and I have to ask myself, would I be even further ahead than him if I'd have stuck to the strategy I was on before? But nonetheless, we come out in P9, we're still in the points. We've managed to overcut Robert Schwartzman as a result of staying out for a few more laps. We were definitely behind him when we overtook Ocon, so yeah, we've managed to get ahead of him without having to fight him on track, which is always nice. And we've got Albon and Sainz are our next two cars that we're looking ahead to try and overtake. Albon having a decent run of form, which continues in this race, but we're going to see if we can bump him down from 4 points to 2 points, and yeah, try and go for a move up the inside at the end of this DRS zone. We just about make it work, and now we're going to set our sights on Sainz. That's a hard sentence to say. Much sibilance going on right now, and yeah, we'll see if we can get up into P7. The more points that we can grab in this race, the less likely it is that Alpine are guaranteed to get P6. I still don't think I have enough to contend with them. I think they're just going to be too far ahead. I mean, I think Alonso's still in P3 in this race, right? So yeah, it's just going to be a really difficult task to kind of cover him off. If we can get up into like P6, that's going to be 7 points that he's gaining over us. But Russell is already 4 seconds up the road, and we've only got 13 laps left in this race. As we get ahead of Sainz, but he might come back at us. We do have the DRS, so I think it's going to be okay. And yeah, we just managed to hold on to P7 for now, and we'll see if we can close down the cars ahead. They are going quite slowly, you can see, because I've closed up Russell, and I've also closed up Magnussen, who seems to be going quite slowly, and we'll see if we can get ahead of these guys with no DRS on this occasion, but they've held each other up enough to the point that I am now right within DRS range of them, so we'll see if we can maybe start making some moves on them. Try and go around the outside of Magnussen, but it doesn't quite work for now. We're trying everything we can to get past them, but because they're going wheel to wheel, all they're really doing is holding me up and making it so that this is the last few positions I'll be able to grab in this race, if I can grab them. We managed to get around the outside of Magnussen there as we turn it to the inside, and now we're up into P6, and that's a shame for Magnussen. He was in P2 a few laps ago, and now he's down all the way down in P7, and it could be looking at P8 if Sainz can manage to get past him. Our next target is George Russell. We're going to have DRS as we come into the main straight on this track soon, so we'll see if we can make a move on him perhaps, and get our former rival down an extra position. It actually does make a difference, because he is one of the drivers who is closest to us, along with his teammate Lewis Hamilton, in the Drivers' Championship, in the fight for P5, which is kind of turning out to be a fight between me, Russell and Hamilton. The top four, as Russell tries to take me out of the race. I don't think he did any damage, but that is going to create a bit more friction here, and we just about managed to hold on to the position. Ricardo is 6 seconds up the road, so I'd wage to say I'm probably not catching him. I do wonder whether Russell and Magnussen hadn't held me up so much. Maybe I would have been able to catch Ricardo, but there's no point thinking about that now. As we come on to lap 33, you see that I've only caught them by about a second or so, as they hold each other up quite a lot. I go over the track again, lucky not to get a penalty or anything like that, and they do seem to be going a little bit slower now, so I'm not sure if maybe someone, maybe it's Alonso, is starting to create a bit of a train with the other two cars. The Alpine I don't think is quite as fast as the Ferrari or the McLaren, but I'm not 100% sure with that. I guess we'll have to wait and see who finishes where. I imagine Ricciardo's tyres must be going off by now, because he started on the softs, and by about lap 12 I think it was, he changed to those mediums. So he's been on those for over 20 laps as Leclerc gets past Alonso and starts to hold this battle that's going on between these guys in front is allowing me to catch up at least a little bit. So that's encouraging to see as we now move within 4 seconds of the car in front, which is Daniel Ricciardo. I think Leclerc has made the move work, and yeah, we've caught up quite significantly. We'll see if it's going to be enough to catch them before the end of the race, but you see that on lap 36 we were basically the same delta to them. Fireworks going off in the middle of the day for Max Verstappen's win in this race. He dominated the whole Grand Prix. Russell is closing us down. I don't think it's quite going to be good enough. Magnussen did manage to hold off Carlos Sainz for P7 in the end. And we come home and we've made it from P18 all the way up to P5, so that was a very respectable race.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
But will it be good enough for driver of the day? Probably not. No, Daniel Ricciardo gets it once again for his rise from P19 to P4. He started one position down and made it one position up compared to where we were.
What a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. Tell me, Ant, how do they manage to achieve this win?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sports that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
So in the end, we only lose 5 points to Alonso, and I don't know where Ocon finished. I think maybe it was P10, so maybe it's 16 points for Alpine and 10 points for ourselves. So we might not be out of this championship yet. I think they're maybe like 15 or so points ahead of us now, something like that. So if we can get a string of good results in these last 3 races, then maybe this isn't over.
So let's review the updated
We'll have to wait and
driver
see, I guess.
Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Well, after an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Daniel Ricciardo certainly impressed me today, an incredible performance.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Okay, so we are 12 points behind them with 3 races to go. That means I have to outscore the Alpines by, what, 4 points per race? Because I think then we win on virtue of I got a race win and they didn't get a race win, as far as I know. I don't think Alonso has won any races this season. I think I would have known about that. So, yeah, by virtue of me having the race win, we just have to tie on points with them. And being 12 points behind, that's not impossible. It is going to be difficult because I think I am going to take some more penalties at Portugal. And the reason why I'm going to do that is so I can have fresh engine components for Brazil and Abu Dhabi. Because those 2 Grand Prix, obviously I had a DNF last season in Brazil, but the race was going well up until that point, and Abu Dhabi also went quite well. I get the feeling that if I can have no penalties there and start quite high up the order, because it's very common that lots of cars will take penalties in those races, there is a chance that that I could win either of those races, in my opinion. It's not guaranteed, it's not nailed on. But I think that that kind of thing is what's going to be needed to contend with the Alpines around us. I mean, even if I were to win both of those races, there's no guarantee it's going to be enough. If both Alpines are firing on all cylinders in the last few races as well, I'm going to need them to take a lot of penalties as well. And yeah, we'll see when those races crop up. But all in all, Mexican Grand Prix success, in my opinion. We were kind of doing damage limitation as we took a penalty here, and to go from P18 to P5 I think is a very respectable result. Obviously we had a good strategy. It looked like a pretty weird one, and I do wonder whether maybe we would have been able to get one more position in this race if we hadn't have gone for that strategy, but I'm not too upset about it. You can see we were pressuring Schumacher so hard there, but in the end we just had to bide our time to overtake him, which is not going to show for whatever reason. This is our overtake on Vettel, the second time around at least. Our first one was the double overtake, and then we've got our overtake on Ocon, which was also pretty spectacular. I was just abusing the fact that I had superior grip for pretty much the whole race, which was the nice thing about that strategy. I just felt like I could make any overtake I wanted to, no matter who the car in question was. It wasn't till sort of the end of the second stint that I felt like the tyres were starting to go off a little bit. And yeah, no, all in all, pretty good race. Pretty happy with that. And we'll see if we are now up to acclaim level 15. It would be pretty cool if we are. We made it to team acclaim level 20. We popped an achievement for that, which is pretty cool to see. I think I've only got about 14 achievements left before I get the platinum trophy in this game, so that's it's nice to see. I guess I should call them trophies since this is PlayStation. We get all of our sponsor bonuses, so we're getting the moolah raking in. Not long before we'll be able to afford Piastri's contract renewal, and that is something I'm quite keen to do if he's keen to have me. We'll have to wait and see on that front. And that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe. These videos have been doing so well lately, and I want to keep that up. And thank you for watching.